Hello everyone. To those of you who are new to my channel, welcome. I think for now I'm going to keep this channel just mainly as like homework help. So if you're struggling with math or physics and you have some questions, then I can answer them. I'll post in the description of the video the subjects that I can tutor or help you in, at least for now, until I have more experience with the advanced subjects. But I was also contemplating making this into an art channel as well as a little bit of a travel channel as well, because recently I took a trip up to the West Coast. I reside in Texas right now, and originally I'm from California. So I went back home for a little bit, visited Venice Beach, and then drove along the 101 all the way up to Washington. And for everything that's gone on in the past 8 or so years, me spiraling into a very deep depressive state, I actually felt happy, like for the first time in a long time on this trip. I think it was just the fact that I was, with my family again. We're kind of scattered. There's some family that live in Arizona and some family that lives in Idaho, but most of my family resides in California, and we're not a very big family. But I just felt more complete and wholesome to see them all. I didn't get to see every single one of them, but I saw a chunk of my family. And I just felt relaxed and at ease. And I especially loved the change in scenery. I live, in central Texas, so there's not a ton of, good landscapes here. I mean, I'm not saying it's not beautiful out here. I'm just saying it's not that scenic compared to the West Coast. Granted, there are some spots here that are beautiful, but I don't know. I don't feel like it compares to driving along the coastline, from California to Oregon and Washington, and seeing the ocean, just seeing the beauty of nature. And I just felt at home. And I thought about it for a couple weeks afterwards, and I probably still have some reflection to do, but I think the conclusion that I'm coming to is that I fucking hate it here. I hate living in Texas. And I think I just haven't acknowledged that for the past 17 years. I'm 32, and I've lived in California since I was about 15. We moved here, in April 2008. And, ever since then, I've gained more friends than I had in California, but I just felt isolated still because I was so far away from, the family that I grew up with and knew the most. And, now my family has been cut in half. We lost a couple family members through, various means, but that had a huge effect on me because that all happened while I was still working on my undergraduate degree. And, I feel a sense of anger and hatred for going for a degree I thought would be valuable, and it turns out it's not. But I felt somewhat healed when I was on this this road trip, because I was with the people that I love and care for, my family, and also I got to see just some of those beautiful sights I've ever seen in my life. And I'm coming to the conclusion that maybe just living in Texas is not for me. Not saying I can't handle the weather. I mean, the weather sucks here. It's fucking hot and humid all the goddamn time. But, I can handle that. But I don't feel connected here. I feel just alone and isolated. All my friends have moved on with their lives, and it's very difficult for me to make new friends because I'm what you would call an ambivert, so an extroverted introvert. I won't say anything to anyone unless they speak to me, or if I see a good opportunity to engage in conversation, then I'll do that. I've started doing that, but to to a very small degree. So I'm just thinking maybe it's time to start thinking about leaving Texas, because also this place just has a lot of bad memories now. This place reminds me of 2 losses in my family. It reminds me of a hatred that I have for my institution, because also, fun fact, I found out recently that my university hosted a pro-natalist event. So you can imagine how I felt finding that out. So I've lost all respect I even had for my university to begin with, and it wasn't much to begin with. But and I also have a few friends here. They're all in different areas. One's an hour from me, and he has a wife and a child that he's adopted, and he's living he's living his life. So he's busy most of the time, and I get that. I do. It's unfortunate, but I get it. My other friend lives in lives 3 hours away in Dallas, and Lord knows how often he's available, because he's also in the healthcare field. So, but thinking about this, I have money set aside. It's not a ton, but it is enough to get started. But the thing is, I'm afraid to make that journey either to California to potentially live with my family for a while, or to move to somewhere close to either Washington or Oregon. I was thinking about actually potentially moving to Astoria. It's the city that the Goonies was filmed in, and it's a very beautiful place. And just getting to see that briefly, I loved it. And Washington is just a bridge away, basically. So, but I also know that the only job I have is here, and I don't know how my job prospects would be, moving to California or Oregon or even Washington. Because despite having a physics degree, apparently that doesn't mean shit anymore. So the fact that I can think critically or do basic to more advanced mathematics doesn't mean anything in terms of employment. But at this point, I really could care less, as long as I could actually get a job that would at the very least sustain me. But this is something that I'm just thinking about. I don't have a plan yet. I'm also debating if I should start selling my possessions to add to my savings. But I think I'll just hold off on that until I actually make a decision. But and another thing is, if I do move, I can't take my pets with me. Maybe my cat, but I can't carry a chinchilla across state lines. That's not going to be good for the chinchilla, so I would have to give her up for adoption. Maybe my cat could endure it, but that would also not be fair. So the biggest downside would be, if I moved not to California, but to Oregon or Washington, I would be completely alone. No one around to help, no friends, no family, and this is my cat, Bo. But the more I think about it, the more I realize I'm just not happy here. And, the longer I stay, I think the worse my mental health will get. So I think it's time to maybe at least start making some plans to, either move to California or try to find, a job there or in Oregon or Washington. but I have some work to do. But in the meantime, I think I'll just keep, this channel open to, comments from people who might, subscribe or just, have some questions, regarding their courses in terms of math and physics. Again, I'll post, the subjects that I can tutor, at least reasonably well, in the description. Other subjects that I do have experience, at least in terms of taking them for my degree, that's up for debate because, it's been a while since I've even taken those subjects, and also I've never tutored anyone in the more advanced physics subjects, so, but we'll see. But, and as far as art videos go, I need to figure out a setup. I don't have a good setup for any art videos, so in the meantime, I think I'll just keep it, keep the channel pretty simple and just keep it to, mainly tutoring. So, with that, I'll just say thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.